It's John Robb here interviewing Fliss Kitson from the Nightingales about the upcoming new album. I guess this is quite interesting, isn't it? Because this is probably the first album you got in to do where there's actually a lot of expectations.
Oh, yeah. I guess at the time we didn't really know that, I suppose, when we were doing it. But yeah, since things have kind of changed a little bit, there's a few new fans, and maybe the first music since the film came out. I don't feel like we feel any pressure because we just kind of get on with what we do, and that's kind of been the motto ever since. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully people like it.
I mean, so there was like no kind of reaction to the kind of space you now occupy. It wasn't like a temptation to go more commercial. It's interesting when you listen because it sounds a lot denser, but also more melodic at the same time.
Have you heard the album?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. So I think it is different to most our recent stuff, or since I've joined the band anyway. Well, kind of it's different in general, but no thought to ever go commercial. I'm not sure we even know what that means anymore, or that's just nothing that we've ever wanted to obtain. But there's pops. We like a pop song. We like a hook. So that's there's commercial elements, I guess, if that's what you could call it. But yeah, it is slightly different because of the way we recorded it, and we changed our songwriting process. We hadn't thought that through really. That's just how it happened this time. So.
Oh, so in what way did you change the songwriting process? Was that kind of forced on you by, I'm guessing, COVID and the ongoing collapse of the world?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I kind of took the reins a bit more, actually. So it's kind of the first album where I started writing whole songs, not the lyrics. I didn't write any of the lyrics, obviously. Leave that to Lloydie. But I wrote, a lot of the songs by myself. So I just had a lot of time, and I kind of wanted to try and express myself, even though I can't play any of the instruments apart from drums. But I just had all these ideas going on, so just learned GarageBand really, and it all sounded naff. But obviously, like Andy and Jim came up trumps when I'd kind of just conducted it in the studio. So it was exciting for me.
Well, that's really interesting. So you'd be writing songs on GarageBand, just by singing the melodies, singing the guitar parts. It's kind of like D.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, a little bit, just like constructing it, and I found the brass section. So there's a few songs on this album with brass that Terry Edwards then came on board and played live. And yeah, I can play piano a bit, so just that. I mean, it was nothing technical. It's just all the ideas in my head, just trying to put them out there so we could, curate those ourselves as, proper musicians, not a garage band. But I feel like it came out well. And we kind of worked on those songs in the studio, which we've never done before. We've always kind of written outside of the studio and brought it in. It is weird to never have played songs live before you record them. Do you find that? I think that's so weird because things change all the time, don't they, as you play them?
It's frustrating because you end up, if you record it in the studio and about a year later, you got a far better version of it by kicking it
exactly. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm worried about. It's like, but no, I'm happy with it. It is what it is, isn't it? It's just the climate at the moment. We hadn't been able to tour, obviously. So, I
mean, writing on GarageBand it's great, and it's great. It's such a simple tool to use. Anybody can use GarageBand. That's the wonder of it. It does change the way you write as well, doesn't it? So I guess imagine all the old songs on the last few albums you've been involved with would have come out of jams in the studio, in sound checks even, or whatever. But GarageBand, it kind of changes the way you think about the music, I'm guessing.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like that's why, obviously, this album sounds a little different, probably. That we also have some slower songs, which we would never do in a practice. I don't think we'd be like, yeah, break it down. We'd just be like, we're on a level. And when we're writing together, we really bounce off each other, which I love. But it kind of means that we chop and change a lot, which I also love. But it's nice to like maybe have a break from a song that has 15 million parts in it and a few songs that are just, chorus, verse, perhaps. So yeah.
So it's actually more thinking about the song itself instead of the groove and the feel.
Exactly, yeah. And it was weird to write songs without playing any drums on them first. That's strange, because I always obviously start with a drum beat. To write the drums in the studio, I found that strange, but quite a nice challenge. Yeah, it was a really enjoyable process. Also, really lovely. Our bass player Andy, who he normally engineers our records in the studio, and this time we went to somewhere else so he could have some breathing space and actually be able to kind of write with us. He's the most professional musician out of all of us. Well, professional, I don't know if that's the word, but like can play all of the things properly. So he's even a drummer as well. So he's it was good to have him on board to do all of that rather than be engineering as well. So it was nice. It was a lovely time we had.
It's interesting, the process, and you being a drummer and pretty well known for your drum skills, etc., to be writing the songs not starting on the drums. So there wasn't the one song you started on the drums and built up from there, or wow?
No, nothing. No, I really just put it to the side and was like, "Oh, I'll express myself down the line. It's fine." I was really thinking about the songs as a whole piece rather than I wasn't thinking about me as a drummer at all.
That's interesting. So it's a deliberate process, almost like a discipline to force yourself to do right in a different kind of way.
Yeah, I guess so. And also, like, well, the boys had no idea what I was getting up to, and then suddenly I'd just fill the Dropbox and be like, I've had some time to myself, and here you go. And they're like, my God, that's a little different. So, yeah, it was fun.
So there was no like resistance going, what about mine? I've got 28 songs here lined up.
That's the beauty of the Nightingales. Actually, there's no precious musician. No one's precious about their parts. No one takes it the bad way if you say like I'm not enjoying what you're doing over there. That doesn't sound good. No one takes takes it badly. We accept criticism. So yeah, it's nice. Everyone champions each other.
So when you presented the parts and you went in the studio first, didn't even rehearse. I mean, was it a case that they would be working their parts around it, and did that change the sketches of the songs around very much?
Actually, they kind of really stayed. The base of them stayed how they were, and then overdubs and guitarists want to do like a million tracks, so just kind of left Jim to do that. And that was fine. And yeah, ideas did flow. Obviously, it doesn't sound like a garage band demo, thank goodness. But well, I don't think it does anyway. So yeah, we and also there was room for movement. I'm not like this is what I wrote and this is how it should be. There's definitely room to express yourself as a musician. That's like the main thing why people do it, don't they? Like we want to be having fun whilst playing what we're doing. So it kind of did stay as they were with some adaptions with overdubs and stuff. And then there was like about, there was a few songs we wrote in the studio and a few others, 2 songs I think that we kind of had worked out as a band anyway. So yeah, it's like a mixture.
So you're just looking at the album sleeve there to remind yourself.
Oh yeah, I've got it here just to remind myself. We've only got the CD at the moment, so that's just arrived. But
oh yeah, vinyl takes about a year now, doesn't it? God, nightmare.
Yeah, well, I think because we recorded it in September, I think it's literally about to arrive soon. But that's like a year, yeah.
Oh God, it's crazy, isn't it? So what about the vocal lines? Did you have the vocal lines worked out as well, or is it a case that Robb Lloyd would work out the vocal lines and sort of interpret the songs in his own way as well?
So I did write some melodies for him. He always thinks he's really bad at writing melodies, but I think it's great. And also, I don't have a problem with people singing a guitar line every now and then. You know, that's fine. I wrote some melodies. I do feel like that does. Well, I'm not a lyricist, so I don't know, but I would assume that could hold you back from what you want to write, because you have to. He's very like syllable minded, so he'll be like, "Well, that's 10 syllables I need to fill," and that restricts you a bit. But I mean, he did a great job. The lyrics, as ever, really great in this album. So, yeah, I think it was a mixture. Yeah.
Would he come in like with a bag full of lyrics already written down, or would the song suggest ideas? You know what the song should be about by the very sound of it. Because I find that sometimes a piece of music can actually suggest all the lyrics in your head just by listening to the music. Is it various processes?
Yeah, exactly. I think he varies it. Like there's one slow song on the album called, and it's about. So we wrote it as a kind of slow song, and he then made it into a love song, as you would, I guess, about vice versa from Poison Girls. And that was beautiful, and I feel like the tone of that song led him to want to save that song for her, like a tribute to her. And that's a nice thing. And he sometimes pre-writes lyrics, sometimes he writes them at the studio very last minute, which is a little tense, but sometimes it's the best way to work, isn't it? But it's like the last day and it's like, Lloydie, you've still got 2 songs to write. But it's good under pressure, you know.
How does it work in the studio? Do you work in a different way from other bands, or is it just the same kind of process as most bands?
I think so. I don't think I've ever been in the studio with another band or like with anyone else. Which is weird, I guess. I don't know how other bands work, but I guess it's kind of the same. What, like drums first and go from there? Yeah. It's always difficult in the studio. I always feel like I'm a really bad musician when I'm in the studio, because it's a real like magnifying glass on what you're playing, isn't it? And you're like, how can I not play this? What on earth am I doing live if I can't do this right now? And I don't play to a click ever. So yeah, it's strange. I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest fan of being in the studio. I'm definitely more of a live drummer. Yeah.
Well, what I find is that everyone is in a different key and didn't realise.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't know you were playing that.
Is that what you've been doing the whole time? That's so strange.
It was so loud you couldn't even hear it.
Yeah. Exactly. It all comes out, doesn't it?
So I mean, so the last couple of years, like, well, not count the pandemic, but you know, the film and everything, a game changer, isn't it? I mean, very few bands get that thrown in that sort of what ostensibly would be the tail end of the career, wouldn't it? It would be, you know, like ever decreasing circles is what you normally get at this point of time. But you got this unlikely massive shoe up from Stuart Lee, so that must have been really exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it's amazing, and it's been all I've ever wanted for, you know, the band, Robert, and the music, you know, most importantly. So it's been marvelous. You never know, like, when your time in the sun is kind of done. Maybe it is already, maybe it's not. I don't know if people will still maintain an interest. This film came out February 2021. People move really quickly, but I mean, no matter what happens now, that was just such a wonderful moment, and made my heart really full anyway to, you know, see that happen, for Robert as well, like, definitely. So yeah, I mean, it was such a buzz. It was fantastic. I know that we have, you know, gained some new fans from that, and I hope they stick with us through the next journey. It is kind of rare for a band that's been going for like 40 years to ever take even like the tiniest step up. It's quite hard. So it might just be a tiny step, but it feels like the best, because it won't ever get bigger than we are now. We're not deluded. So yeah, we're enjoying it. It's great.
I mean, it's quite an amazing thing for Stuart Lee to do, really, because I always get the feeling that the film was originally a film about him being a fan of something, and he sort of turned it all the way around to being a film about the Nightingales, and he's in the background. So, I mean, it works in media world. I mean, because he's so famous now, but he's got that power, and they'll put the money into anything he's got his name on. But he shone the spotlight on you, not him, which was very magnanimous of him, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's incredible, really. But also, whilst using the power of who he is and kind of like his platform to propel a band, perhaps you never know how it was going to go, but to shine a light on a band, but using his platform, that's huge. And yeah, him and Michael did a fantastic job, and they were just so dedicated to it, not knowing where it was going to go, and with no real budget or anything like that. Yeah, I also like just to see the side of Stuart as a music fan, and not not on the stage. You know, it was great just him having a laugh with his mate. Really, yeah, it's a wonderful thing that he's done. So can't thank him enough. And I know that he loved the process as well. So I feel like it was enjoyable for everyone.
I mean, he's still out there doing it. I mean, I saw him about 6 weeks ago doing a talk about it at Blue Dot Festival. Like that's not a proper job.
It's relentless, isn't it? Yeah, he's so dedicated. He's just like that's really cool. It's really cool with him.
Was it a part of you, and I don't mean in a sort of bitter kind of way, of course not, but a part of you got thinking, well, you know, when people started turning up to see Nightingales, you're not thinking, where have you been?
Oh right, like now, yeah. Where have you been for the last 40 years? I feel like it is kind of funny, but I like it, and also I know as a music fan myself that obviously, you know, that's a stupid thing to say, but like I go back to the past to discover music now. Like I hadn't listened to. I'm going blank now, but like I hadn't listened to any Led Zeppelin until the other week, for example. Not that I'm a massive Led Zeppelin fan anymore, but there's no like cut-off date from when you can become a fan, and it shouldn't be like that. So yeah, I love that people are discovering the Nightingales now, and we just had no platform whatsoever. So how would we, like nowadays, how would we get it out more than we could? So that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about many bands. You know, you think, am I completely mad? But this is really good. This, how come nobody else gets it? It's only because the spotlight wasn't shone on them, wasn't it? You know, and this is an example of that. And when the spotlight is there, it's not difficult music. It's just people didn't get the chance to really hear it before, isn't it?
Yeah, they didn't have access to it, or they were too young maybe for John Peel, or they never just followed it. It was not as easy to follow a band in that kind of motion as it is now, is it? So and there's just so much noise out there. There's just so much going on. To even get through to anybody new is pretty good effort, to be honest. Yeah.
And this is not the only aspect here. I mean, I think things really did start to change when you joined the band, and I think this made a real difference. You know, you got the band organised. I mean, people on the scene know that. Your work ethic is completely relentless, which it has to be in a band. You know, and it seemed fairly directionless before, or well, no direction at all when it wasn't going. But when you when you came into the camp, I've never seen the band so together musically. You know, it sounds much tighter, and also with a sense of direction and a sense of organisation. Was that something that when you joined the band you were determined to bring in there, or something that you just kind of stuck with having to do?
Well, thank you. That's a really nice thing to say, actually. I think it was an agenda that I had, not straight away, because I mean it took me ages to be able to, you know, play with them and learn that music. And but as I was a fan before I joined the band, and I just thought they were chaotic, not together, not organised, but so passionate and really wanted to work harder. And the music is everything. So I just felt like I had to take that on board myself. I really enjoy doing stuff like that anyway. Like I'm quite an organizer, and just set the way. And also I knew social media, and I don't really have shame in doing stuff like that. Whereas like I don't think the boys would want to do it. They're just not interested enough in it, but they're happy for me to do it. So and yeah, that's fine. And that those kind of things helped as well, just being on a social media platform, which they weren't before ever. So yeah, I really enjoy doing it, and I'm glad someone like you thinks that I have done a good job. So thanks.
It's interesting to see how well it adopted to social media, because I like to be on the conversation when you explain to them how that works.
Yeah, Rob's really funny. The only way he checks our Facebook or our Twitter or sees any of that is he goes on our website, which I think he's probably the only person that ever goes on our website. And there's like a rolling feed at the bottom where you can see, and that's how we can see like any of the social stuff. Not that he looks at it regularly, but he quite likes to see how it's going. So I don't, yeah, they just let me get on with it, which is great. I don't have to go through any of them to ask, can I post this or whatever. So
I mean, what you're doing here really, which is quite interesting, is adopting what was kind of an old model into a new model, and it's like it's kind of a band from 30, 40 years ago, and just kind of tweaking it so it fits into the 21st century. And it fits in surprisingly well, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's a good way of thinking about it. Totally. And yeah, but as are we all. Like you've totally mastered it, haven't you? The art of social media, John. You're like, yeah, you do it as well with your band. So we all try and get involved in it. It's not the most easiest thing. It's really frustrating now. Like the algorithms and blah blah blah. I'm not going to go into all that, but like that is frustrating, and that is stuff that I am interested in seeing how it is all working behind the scenes. But it can just be a bit disheartening sometimes when you put out a video of your music and that doesn't go down as well as like you having a drink in the pub, and we kind of take the piss out of that. So we do it every Friday, drink at the pub, and it's just like a rolling piss take of how that's gonna get more likes and stuff. But it's funny, and I do like the whole like you can see kind of behind the scenes of how bands are working now, and I like that. And you can actually like just as a fan myself of other bands, like communicate with members. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, in a way, just a faster version of what we all grew up with anyway, because you would read kind of pop comics, magazines, music papers, those little glimpses of the other world, wouldn't you? Whereas now, you just look online for it. It's not really that complicated to understand, is it?
No, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that the Friday afternoon pub thing is exactly what you want from the Nightingales on social media. And the music, I'd imagine most of the fans will listen to it on probably on vinyl if it ever turns up.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. Well, yeah. No, you're right. I
mean, so what's kind of plotted out now? Is I see you got you did like the long tour last year, but now you kind of it's like a few specific dates now. So again, this is all part. There's a master plan here, and nothing's done at random anymore. You definitely have a plan, don't you? A 5-year plan, like Chairman Mao.
At the moment, we only really have a 1-year plan, which was this album, and it was we were very keen to be able to play some of these songs from the album live, and they do involve different instruments. So we are just doing 4 gigs in November with a bigger Nightingales band. So two women who play brass and strings and keys, and then Terry Edwards himself will be joining us on stage as well. to create the bigger kind of band, and we'll also like reimagine some older stuff with those instruments as well. So it'll be like kind of an evening with the Nightingales or something. Not as lame as that, but it will be fun. Yeah, we just kind of wanted to do that because I feel like we toured in April. It was a big tour. You just don't want to overdo it, and we just wanted to do something a bit different, and just pick, our favourite kind of territories and go for that. And then really, there isn't many plans for the foreseeable. I don't know which direction we'll go. Let's see how the album goes. But it is called The Last Laugh, so whether it's the last laugh or not, I don't know.
No, it's not easy to get out of, is it?
Yeah, true.
I mean,
Yeah.
part of the idea of, you've done all the reissues, and part of the idea of revisiting old songs, I guess, is tied in with that, but also in the sense of the film, because it told the history of the band. So, those are two kind of themes that are running in with these dates, plus, of course, the new album. But this idea of making sense of the history, come to terms with the history of the band, but also going forwards.
Yeah, I definitely like. In general, we're not a nostalgic band, as you know, as most people that come and see us live know. But I think Robert particularly has quite enjoyed the reissues and re-listening to that stuff again, remastered and all of that jazz. And and the film the film is the major one, but like going back, he doesn't really go back very often. Hates talking about the prefects and stuff like that normally, but the music, it's been really interesting to go over some of those tracks again and learning. I've been playing them as well in the practice room, so we will play a few older things if that's what you mean. But also, yeah, it's been great for Robert and the old members and everything like that to have their music in these kind of luxurious packages and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I'm really pleased for them all. Like, it's lovely. And the next one should be, I mean, if they're doing it in a timeline, should be Out of True, which is one of my favourites, Darren Garrett era. So that never came out on vinyl either, so I hope they do that. It's just whether, there's still the demand for it, but they've been selling quite well, I think. So that's really good.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's great to have a sense of history without being too nostalgic. But also, finding out you actually do have a history, it doesn't all just disappear into the ether. It actually exists.
Yeah, the physical, the history is, we can hold it now. Yeah, no, totally. It's amazing. It's really cool.
Well, that's counting with having a new album as well. So this is purely not a nostalgia exercise. These are just punctuation in a set. I mean, a lot of your sets, you play everything in a row, don't you? Play everything one go, everything's joined together, and it's like usually the whole album. I mean, is that how you do this, or will you be threading the old songs into the context of the new album live?
Yeah, we won't be playing the new album as like, it's not going to be like the album show. It's not like a Marillion thing, but it's like we'll do a few songs, but I feel like we'll all want to do the song Into Another still. It's just kind of what we do. It'll be difficult with other musicians, but they know the drill. And then just a couple of oldies, as per, shake it up a bit. But yeah, I feel like we like to just do the song Into Another because this is what we do. We've got nothing else to say. The music just speaks itself, and here we are, an hour of an onslaught of that, which can go down well, can be kind of uncomfortable for people. I don't know, but yeah, we enjoy it. So
no, it does work because it does have a mesmerising, pulverising kind of effect.
Yeah.
But what's interesting this time, because you've actually written them as specific songs. They are self-contained songs, aren't they? So I'm guessing it's more of a challenge. I mean, of course, and you can write parts to join them all together, but it would be more of a case of stitching them together when they're already separate entities. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah, I think, well, the classic is take the last note off, and the first note of the next song is the last note of the last song. We've already written our set, and we're practicing it now. We're like, yeah, we need to be well oiled for this these dates. So it's also just an enjoyable process. We all enjoy rehearsing, so it's all. I think it's tangible. I think it will work. We'll see.
I'm finding what's it like working with a label, because the label also is very ambitious. What's interesting, the label is it kind of takes on all these lost causes and makes them work.
He does, doesn't he? He's like, I'm going to take all of the underdogs and put all of my money into it. Yeah, John's amazing. Tiny Global is a fantastic label. A real champion, like you say, of lost causes and people that have, never really reached where they should be. And it's nice to share the label with bands like the Blue Orchids and people like that. Like it's great. He's very supportive. I work really well with him because I'm quite passionate, and I want everything to go a certain way, things to look a certain way. Whether or not anybody else notices it doesn't really matter to me. It's just like I just want it to be, the way I want it to be and look. That excites me, for everything to kind of be linear. And he's really on board with that and works really well with me, thank goodness.
Yeah, I was thinking
so
that, because again, he adds another layer of professionalism to it as well, doesn't he? Because he's very, very organised, which I imagine in a 40-year career on and off, the band haven't really had that, have they?
No, definitely not. He's very organised, really dedicated, spends a lot of time with us, on us, for us. Couldn't really, ask for much more than that. So it's really cool.
Well, thanks, Fliss. Thanks for your time, and good luck with the album and the tour.
Thanks, John. It's really nice to see you again.